Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of the Mandatory Live on Saturday morning or afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Remember, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media channels. You'll see on the screen and in the description the ways that you can connect with us, and lots to get to on this episode. We're going to be talking about the changes that DAZN made to their membership plans. And it's a big change because it does include pay-per-views. But what does this mean for boxing? Also, we're going to be getting into the 154-pound division as well. Of course, Vergil Ortiz taking on Erickson Lubin tonight. But of course, the bigger scope of things, we have to talk about 154 because that is a very, very exciting division. But we will be previewing the fight as well. But of course, one of the biggest news this week, Brian, was Jake Paul, Tank Davis. The fight is no longer happening. It was supposed to go down November 14th, but Tank got into some legal issues outside of the ring. Not the first time, but essentially Tank Davis's girlfriend allegedly filed a civil lawsuit against him, accusing him of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. So those are some very, very serious charges. So Tank Davis dealing with some things outside of the ring. Just your thoughts on when you first heard this. And of course, no replacement yet for Tank Davis. So the fight has been canceled.
The fight being canceled is actually a net positive. In terms of why it was canceled, well, unfortunately, when I saw the news, I was like, again, Tank? Like, seriously? And I know people are going to say, well, he's been cleared before of any wrongdoing, but legally, that doesn't always mean what you think it means. But I'll refrain from going further down that rabbit hole because there's a lot of information like this just dropped recently, earlier this week. We don't know. And as a matter of fact, we will note the actual press release, which got sent to my inbox. And I was like, oh, great. We both got this. And it was like, just, okay, I guess this is what we're doing here. Okay. So this is the main part. I screenshotted this and posted this on Twitter. We're still calling it Twitter. Most valuable promotions, and it's small here, but I'll just read it out if you can't see it. Most valuable promotions in Netflix will no longer move forward with Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Plans remain for Jake Paul headline event on Netflix in 2025. Nikisa Badarian, who's the CEO and Jake Paul's business partner, CEO of Most Valuable Promotions, says here, our team has closely worked with all parties to navigate the situation responsibly. While we will not be moving forward with the event, our plan still remains for Jake Paul to headline an event on Netflix in 2025. Details regarding a new date, location, Jake Paul's opponent, yada, yada, yada. Like, it'll happen, basically. They thanked Hard Rock, whatever. Remember, this fight was supposed to be in Atlanta. And then Atlanta was like, what's the size difference?
And then it was in Miami, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they moved it to Miami because
Florida boxing commission's a little bit different. I mean, Florida Florida all around is just a little bit different, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. And the theory that has been bantered around, so to speak, and Lou DiBella has even mentioned this in an interview with Ariel Helwani. Speaking of Lou, we'll get to him later. He mentioned this, and I want to throw this at you. This kind of gave, this being Tank's latest run-in with the law, kind of gave them an out because the fight wasn't performing well in terms of sales. I don't know what the gate was going to end up being, but we talked about this privately, like, yo, this isn't really moving people the way they probably want to, because this is a highly invested event, and a lot of people are just looking at this like some freak show. And we'll get to what's next for Jake Paul in a second, but your thoughts on just that piece of it in terms of like, did this give them an out? Like, did they secretly want to maybe pull the plug? You probably, like, this is a conspiracy theory almost, but did they secretly want to pull the plug anyway? And then this Tank thing just gave them an out, and it's like, all right, wipe our hands with this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in that conspiracy theory because nobody allegedly made Tank do those things to his girlfriend. So, but I'm pretty sure they're happy that, I don't think they're happy that it's not going down, because I think regardless, in the end, it would have sold out. Sometimes with fights like that, like, they don't sell right away. and then like on the last day they might sell out. So it might have been like that type of situation, but I think it would have done pretty well on Netflix, to be honest with you. I think the fight would have drove a lot of numbers and viewership. So there's that aspect of it, because I think people would have just wanted to see it. But I'm very interested in what Jake Paul is going to do next, because he's going to be fighting in December, most likely. So that means a new opponent. Who is that opponent? That's the biggest question. And of course, we'll get to the other side of Tank after we listen to this Lou DiBella clip, right?
No, that's gonna be for later. But first,
Okay.
let's look at this because his is for the zone, and I can't wait for that. So here's Jake Paul did an interview with Andreas Hale from ESPN, and just to go through it here, they talked about Paul's options, and he broke down a wish list. Apparently, in this interview with ESPN that dropped just 2 days ago. So this is very recent. So gladly, because we had planned on recording Thursday and then Friday, and then we were like, you know what, Saturday worked out before, and now we have more things to talk about. Terrence Crawford's on his list.
That would just be a death wish. Like, do you want to die? Because Terrence and Bud Crawford would likely take all of the money and then knock your ass out. That's not as, I understand why Jake is saying his name, but I don't think he should.
Let's do it this way. Scale of 1 to 10, how much you'd want to see Jake Paul versus blank. So Terrence Crawford, 1 to 10.
I would say 10 out of 10, because I think Bud can knock his ass out. So I'd like to see it. I'd love to see it. Like, why not? Like, you know how much money this could actually make? So I understand, like, Jake is an incredible businessman. Like, I don't think people give him enough credit. He is very intelligent. He's an incredible businessman. That would make a lot of bread. And I would say 10. I'd love to see him and Bud. What would you give it?
So I was gonna say like a 3, and you've kind of sold me. I'm like, you know
This
what?
would be great.
If they did,
Could you imagine the antics? Could you imagine the antics? For goodness sakes, I don't know what it was, but I think Bud told one of Canelo's people, and it was like a woman, and he just told her to F off. He was like, F off, bish. He didn't give a fuck. So I'd be down.
He's been like in Mexico since. He's just like, every time I see him on Instagram, he's like dancing to Spanish music. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think he's earned the right after, which, by the way, we should also be. Well, we'll get into it later because we're talking about Vergil Ortiz. But I would want to see this. This fight would be entertaining. Bud would make money. Jake would make money, and I think it would blow out any viewership in terms of numbers that we've had all year. I think it'd be bigger than Canelo and Bud, actually.
Questions, comments, always welcome. Mateo says the fight wasn't selling. Jake was joking about Gervonta's domestic problems and outlaw behavior a while ago publicly. So interesting. It's all off now. Yeah, he was poking fun at that. And also he was making some valid points. Not that Jake Paul is a saint by any means, but he hasn't done anything like that, allegedly. So to answer the question, since you're a 10 out of 10, I'm going to say you've moved me from a 3.
Give it a 9. Give it a 9. Give it a 9.
8. I'll go 8.
Okay, close.
I'll go 8. Because I admittedly be interesting. Okay.
Could you imagine Bud could knock his ass out in a round?
Probably.
I think
I don't think he would though. I think he would. I think he would draw it out a little bit and then finish him.
My God, I think Jake could die in that fight. I don't think he should take it. Like, that's a real fight where he could die, right? So I don't think Jake should do it unless, like, I don't think there's any price for that. But it'd be entertaining. But that would end out in like Bud brutally knocking him out, I think. But go on.
If it were to happen, hopefully nobody dies.
Yeah, no, we don't want anybody to die. But that's why I'm like, I don't think Jake should take that fight.
Right. No, it's dangerous. And I think Bud actually, if he did that, if they did fight, which they won't, Bud would knock him out with a body shot. Like specifically a body shot.
And I think Jake would be like 12-ounce gloves. You know what I mean? Like,
16.
They would have to make so many rule changes for that, but someone would still be getting knocked out. But yeah, go on.
Next, KSI, YouTuber turned boxer.
I don't want to see this. No.
So I wanted to see this before, and I've lost interest because it felt like they were. It felt like before, like they were here, and now it's like I don't know. Like, is KSI? Like, Jake Paul's better than him, like considerably now, it feels like.
100%. I think Jake Paul is in a situation where it's like you could consider him a real boxer. I think you can.
Based off other boxers keep saying that. I don't know if it's because they want money, but they do keep saying that.
No, because like it's just like when you build your resume, you might find a guy that has like over 400 losses. He's building
Christian
his
Light, shout out.
listen, he's building his resume. We might not like the way he's gone about it, but he's also gotten better as a boxer. He also trains like a boxer. So at some point you got to start giving him his credit. And Chavez Jr. was a real boxer. Like he hadn't fought in a while and there was a layoff. And I don't know what the hell happened there because it really wasn't like the Chavez Jr. that I remember, but Jake beat him. Like Jake beat him. So it's like at that point, like he did fight a legit boxer. So now it's like I got, listen, like I don't want to see KSI. No, I give this a -5. I don't want to see this.
-5. Mateo, we're thank you for the super chat. We will get through that. That's actually what we'll start with when we get to Tank in a couple minutes. I'm gonna say 1 out of 10, 10%. Like just basically nothing. Alex Pereira, UFC.
Oh my goodness.
Light heavyweight champion.
Another
Speaking
death
of
wish.
Right.
Yeah. What is this? Is this a death wish for Jake Paul? Like, I'd give this a 10 out of 10. Like, I want to see this. Like, what do you mean? Like, this would be so entertaining. This would be more dangerous than Bud Crawford.
There's no gray area with
Alex Pereira is like a monster. I don't know who would want to see him in the octagon. Like, this guy is an absolute monster. I'd love to see it. Yes. Sign me up. Sign me up.
Sign me up too, I think. This is probably a 9 for me. Alex Pereira has enough flaws where this could be legitimately interesting because as much as he's like a wrecking ball and shit, like the reason Israel Adesanya knocked him out is because he's so wide on some of his punches and he leaves himself open to get caught. Not that Jake Paul is like the guy who can catch him with like straight shots in between these looping hooks necessarily, but he does have power. Like Jake Paul does have power.
And has a right hand.
He's big also. If you want to say Jake Paul is not a real boxer, Alex Pereira, like he has a boxing background. He has an extensive kickboxing background. But he's also not he's not Terrence Crawford, who's a pound for pound, maybe the best there is. Yeah. So this is real interesting to me, actually. And if you're Alex Pereira, I actually don't know what his next move is going to be yet.
Give Alex the bag, man. You know what I mean? Like this man deserves the bag. Like I'd 100% be down for this. And like you said, he does have some flaws, but for a UFC fighter, for an MMA guy, of course, he has that extensive background in kickboxing. Alex Pereira can box, dude. Like he has some skill. He does have some flaws, like Bryan said, but he also has power and he has a pretty good chin. It's not like he's going to be doing like flying high kicks to Jake where he's going to knock his ass out. So yeah, I'd be down for this. This would be a great fight. And I think Alex Pereira would be able to knock him out. So
yeah, I don't disagree.
Dangerous.
With that. He's actually 1-0 as a pro boxer too. He had a fight in Brazil where he's from in 2017. It was just like a 4-rounder. He just knocked out some dude. That was it. So he doesn't have like a big time professional boxing background, but it was a kickboxing champion, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a big
and he's not past his prime. Like, you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like he's in his prime. Oh my, this is another 10 for me.
Anthony Joshua is the next one on the list.
This one makes sense to me, actually.
Yeah, I mean, AJ, we haven't seen him since he got knocked out by Daniel Dubois, which is a while ago at this point. It's last year.
Yeah.
And we all agree, hey, he probably has done all he can. Like maybe there's another title to get out there, but if Usyk has all the belts, unless you think Anthony Joshua could beat Ajay Caballero and you want to see him fight Usyk again at some point, but he's kind of seen it all, done it all at this point. He's unified heavyweight champion for a while. He's sold out. He's one of the top selling guys in the sport, super popular. And he's like close to retirement. I'm not going to say he's retired now.
I think so because he's above 35 years old. He might be 35 or like 36. But I will say that for Anthony Joshua, he at one point was the most popular guy. He can still sell out Wembley if he wanted to. That's how popular Anthony Joshua is. And I've always said it. I think he has one of the best heavyweight resumes of all time. He does. He doesn't have anything to prove. He's already made all the money he's wanted to. He can make even more with Jake Paul. And this fight would actually make sense to me. This fight would make a whole lot of sense to me. And I think, listen, you're going up against a real boxer with legit power. This is another first round knockout. We saw what he did to Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
No.
th- this is also, this has to be like 8, 9. I would want to see this more than Crawford. Would I want to see it as much as Pineda? Probably. And you make the interesting point about Wembley. If you put this fight at Wembley Stadium,
Ooh.
like it'll make all the money Jake Paul would want to make in a fight. I just don't know if Anthony Joshua, like, would he be interested? Is what it would come down to, right? Um,
Yeah.
you would think, hey, he fought Francis Ngannou. Why wouldn't he fight Jake Paul? And then he could also say, I already did the circus thing once, and that was against a UFC champion. I'm not going to do it against this dude. Like I don't know what Anthony Joshua like wants at this point,
Yeah.
but I think he would destroy. He would actually do the worst damage of everyone here. Clearly,
I think so. Other than Bud,
I think including Bud because of the size.
I don't think it matters for Bud. I don't think it does. Just because like Jake doesn't have as much experience as these guys. Like these
Might
are
be
real
true.
fighters that are still fighting right now, and so he's not fighting like a guy that hasn't. Well, I mean AJ hasn't fought in a minute, but it's not like he's been on a 3-year layoff. Even then, I would still take AJ.
People are telling me to fight someone my own size. Jake Paul says, "Okay, how about I fight somebody who's bigger than me? He makes size. His size makes him a tougher challenge than Crawford. That's the most dangerous fight for me right now." I agree with that. Actually, I think the
Yeah.
size is. Tommy Fury is next. The rematch that no one is waiting for. The only loss on Jake Paul's record. I think this could sell, but I do question the entry because Tommy Fury hasn't exactly ascended to amazing heights since beating Jake Paul.
Yeah,
So
I mean it's something that I wanted to see at one point, but I don't care anymore.
5 out of 10 for me,
Like a
maybe.
2. It's a 2. It doesn't do anything.
That's probably fair. Moving on. Okay, Alexander Usyk.
This is like Jake is like very smart to be doing all this, by the way. Like this is so funny that he's in conversations with having fights with like one of the greatest heavyweights of all time and Alexander Usyk. I don't think Usyk has to do
What do
this.
y'all think of this, by the way? What do y'all think of this watching the chat? Let us know.
I'm not as intrigued
What?
as the other guys for this fight.
Me neither.
Like I don't know what it is because it's like Usyk. It's not going to happen. And I think the other fights are more entertaining because I think also like the press conferences and all that has to be entertaining too. That all goes into a Jake Paul fight. It's not like a traditional boxing fight. I'd rather see Alex Pereira. I'd rather see Bud. I'd rather see AJ over Usyk. So this gives me like a 4 out of 10.
He's gonna talk shit to Usyk. Usyk's just gonna make faces and do things with his eyebrows, and like he's just gonna be
He's too
funny in the
classy.
presser. And
He's
yeah,
too
like
classy.
and then the fight is gonna be like putting in the best boxer in the world against a journeyman in terms of quality, right? Like if even that, some people would say he's not even that good, probably still prospect level in terms of how talented Jake Paul is in the ring. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like I don't know. Would you want to see Terrence Crawford against somebody who's been boxing for just a few years? You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense, Brian. But here we are talking about it. Like none of it really makes sense.
Would you say 1 to 10? You gave it a 4 or a
4.
2?
Yeah. I
4.
think the other fights would be more entertaining. But
I
obviously
might be a 2.
Usyk would whoop his ass though. Like come on.
This is a 2 for me. I'd rather see Usyk do something else. Is there anyone? Canelo Alvarez, of course.
Yeah, I'm interested in this. Hey, Canelo,
because they actually had beef.
I mean, he said Canelo had herpes on his lip. Canelo got to get his get back right here. And also at this point, we don't know what Canelo's going to do. Like, he just parted ways with Eddie Reynoso, his longtime trainer.
No, that was a bullshit report.
Okay, so that didn't happen. Okay, great. I got to stop listening to
report.
Okay, I'm just making sure. But like, we don't even know what his next fight is.
Let me see. Hold on. I don't think they actually. Yeah, no, they didn't.
Okay, great. I gotta stop. I gotta stop reading boxing hose tweets, which is actually quite entertaining. But we don't know what Canelo's gonna do next, and I think like there's so much talk about like what happened after the Bud fight, his greatness, and everything like that. I think Canelo could take this fight at this point. He has nothing to prove, and he could just walk off into the sunset. Like Canelo actually has nothing to prove, by the way. I just want to say that. So
Yeah.
I'd say a 10 out of 10 for sure. And they have a lot of back and forth. Apparently there were contracts at one point, according to Jake,
There was a
for this
poster.
fight.
There was a
Yeah.
poster, a
So
ready-made poster, and then he spurned him from, which we laughed about more than once on the show. Spurned Jake Paul for the Saudi deal with Turk in them, and then
yeah. Oh yeah. So Canelo still has those fights on the deal though, right? Like he still has that deal with Turk, I believe.
yeah, but Jake Paul, I don't think, and Nikisa, I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna work with these
No.
dudes. So we'll see. Listen, if Canelo wants to get out of a contract, you would think that he can, although I don't know how it works when you have a contract with them. Anyway, I'm also a 10 out of 10 on this just because of the back and forth that they've had. And also Canelo's seen it all, done it all. And, why not? There's a bit of a size difference there, but why not? Jake Paul says, I think Turkey is the man who can make it happen. This is interesting. I'm open to it. Turkey has expressed some interest in it. And obviously Canelo has signed up for it, has already signed up to fight me. So I think all that's left is to make it happen. So he's kind of left the door open there. But, the leveraging battle between both sides, I don't know who is going to be just ridiculous. And by both sides, I don't mean Canelo and Jake Paul as much as I mean Jake Paul and the Saudis. Ryan Garcia, Jesus.
Yeah, this would be entertaining too. I'd be down for this.
Former friends.
This is more of like a 8 out of 10 for me. They used to be friends, and remember Ryan Garcia's like prime sucks and everything like that. They come on, man.
This is way lower to me. This is like a 4. You know what? What's like a 2? Fucking Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios. How is he getting a title shot?
Allegedly? Oh my goodness, yeah.
After that fight against
no, that's not a 2 for me. I'm interested in it. But Mario Barrios like against Manny Pacquiao, I did not.
They think Mario Barrios is sweet. They're not even telling Rolly to fight him in unification. They're like, Ryan, go do it after getting your head boxed off by Rolly.
I would want to see a Ryan Garcia Rolly rematch.
I wouldn't. I'm good.
I would. I mean, I think Ryan has to avenge that loss.
It was so one-sided. I'm good. I mean,
are we gonna get the same Ryan Garcia though? So
you never know. This is very low for me. Ryan makes all the sense in the world. Nikisa Badarian said of the welterweight contender about fighting his cruiserweight/heavyweight co-CEO of MVP. Could happen in 2026 or 2027. Ryan's a great boxer, naturally bigger than Tank, unbelievable promoter. If there were any 2 fighters who understand promoting, getting fans interested, showing up and creating disruptive moments that the world focuses on, it's them. And that's it. So that's the list. Anthony Joshua is the one for me, or Canelo Alvarez, or Alex Pereira. Those are the ones that I'm probably most interested in.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. All those on the table, even Bud.
Okay.
So let's move on.
Tank. Real quick on Tank. Mateo, is Tank versus Shakur still worth it?
I think so. I think if Tank wants to come back, and of course there's all this, legal stuff. He's allegedly accused of many things that could probably destroy his career. But as you know, boxers have come back from these types of accusations and they've been able to fight, unfortunately. But that's just how the game is. And I think if Tank wants to come back and make a lot of bread and still stand 10 toes down on saying that he is the best lightweight, fight Shakur Stevenson. Give us the biggest fight in boxing that you can make. Shakur and Tank. Should Shakur try to fight him? I think so, because regardless of what you think, like the knock on Shakur is still, is he entertaining? And this is a fight that has been rumored. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to us on the audio side, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson have been rumored to be in talks, and supposedly they may be fighting in late January. I think this is a great fight, Brian.
Yeah, to answer Mateo's question, is it still worth it? Yes, 1,000% yes. It's still one of the biggest fights you can make, even after the Lamont Roach, whatever you want to call that. Lamont Roach is fighting, as we talked about recently, on a really, really interesting card against Isaac Cruz. So he's clearly moved on, at least for the time being, in terms of trying to get his rematch. There was supposed to be a rematch between Tank and Roach. Some people theorize that, hey, Tank was going to announce the Jake Paul fight sometime after beating Lamont Roach and then probably right off into the sunset. So I don't know how much Tank is going to be left. IMPK13, friend of the show, great friend of the show, says, I feel like Tank is peaked as a fighter, which is interesting. He's not old, but it like you can peak early depending on training habits, wear and tear, interest. And he's sort of been, I don't know if 1 foot out, 1 foot in is too strong, Shantelle, but he has talked about wanting to retire early and, you know, just doing something else or just fading off into the sunset, whatever. Like he's talked openly about this. He's not one of these guys who wants to hang around for a long time. But I do still think it's worth it to fight Shakur Stevenson. That being said, there are rumors that we have it up here on the screen, Boxing Scene, among others, reporting that, hey, there's been ongoing discussions about Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. We don't want to spend too much time on this because it's boxing and there's talks and things are imminent and they might be agreed upon and they might happen here. We don't fucking know because people don't sign shit. They just talk for months and then all of a sudden we get Shakur Stevenson versus, I don't know, Richard Comey or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so we'll see if this actually does happen. There are a bunch of fights getting announced for January. I'm more interested in Shakur versus Tank. This is a great constellation, though, and Shakur would theoretically be moving up to 140, which I think is interesting because we both have said before, like, hey, he could probably fill out to welterweight, even though he wouldn't be knocking people out at 147.
No, I think so. And the thing about it is that we don't know if this fight's going to go down, but if it does, this is huge for boxing, and this would be a massive fight, I think. And I think Shakur moving up, that's the most interesting thing because it would mean that him and Tank wouldn't happen again because Tank's not moving up to 140 unless Shakur would decide to move back down after. I think once Shakur moves up, he's not moving back down again.
Yeah.
So if this fight happens, I think the Tank fight just goes away. So they're kind of connected in a sense.
I don't think that's wrong either. I think there's something to that. Should we move on to 154?
Yes, but before we move on to 154, we got to talk about the fight that's going down at 154. And you could probably bring up the odds, Brian, because Vergil Ortiz is taking on Erickson Lubin, and Vergil Ortiz is a minus 850 straight up on the money line, and Erickson Lubin is a plus 580. That is crazy to me, and I think a little bit disrespectful to a guy like Erickson Lubin, who is a very tricky fighter. He's skilled and he does have power. He has 2 losses on his resume, but listen, Erickson Lubin can give Vergil Ortiz a tough fight. We've seen Vergil Ortiz be in very tough fights before. He's been dropped before, and he has flaws. But that's why I like Vergil Ortiz. Brian, your thoughts on just the odds, looking at the money line. Do you believe this is fair?
No, this is way too wide for Vergil Ortiz. Not to say he'll lose this fight because I think he should win this, but Erickson Lubin's like a live underdog here. The thing with Erickson Lubin is while he has skill and he can crack, he's also chinny. I was there, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but because I don't know if we have time for it. One of the most chaotic fight weeks I ever covered was October 14th of 2017, where there was real tension between the camps of Jermell Charlo and Erickson Lubin at the time. Like real tension. A couple of things I can't even say like on air type of shit. But it was the fight where Jermell Charlo knocked out Erickson Lubin in the first round, just out of nowhere. Which is like a nightmare scenario for obviously a prospect at the time who was developing on the PBC shows and was really, really good. And then Jermell Charlo just got him out of there. Someone who's not like a huge puncher, who's obviously a very skilled boxer, but not like a huge puncher even at the time. They didn't even finish the count. And then Lubin had to build himself back up, ends up running into this matchup against Sebastian Fundora, who, by the way, he drops in that fight. He ends up losing. He has to retire on the stool after 9 rounds. But and Lubin got dropped in that fight too. But people forget he was actually ahead on the scorecards at the time that fight got stopped. He was ahead of Sebastian Fundora, barely. He was ahead though, on at least 2 or 3 of the scorecards. And then he got a gift 2 years ago against Jesus Ramos, where it was a unanimous decision that really should have gone the other way, according to a lot of people, myself included. So he beats Andrea Holmes earlier this year, and now this Vergil Ortiz fight. It's interesting. Vergil Ortiz, as you mentioned, there are some flaws there. That's what makes him so captivating, but he's one of the best body punchers in this weight class and probably in this sport. Ridiculous motor, and he could be really, really accurate when he's putting them together, which is obviously dangerous. That being said, Lubin plus 580, like if you wanted to take a swing at that, if you were like a Vergil Ortiz doubter, I think this is an interesting spot for it. I'm probably not going to bet on this fight at all because I don't like the value on Vergil Ortiz. And, if anything, I might take a stab at Lubin at such a large number. He's also plus 900 to win by stoppage.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell you like, hey, I think this is definitively going to happen because Vergil's better. But this is a dangerous fight for Vergil Ortiz. This is more dangerous than Vegas is telling us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a fight than, what the odds show you here. But I think Vergil Ortiz is going to get it done because he does have the power. He does have the speed. I think he's going to make some mistakes in this fight. And I think it's going to be the toughest fight that he's had so far in his career. And Vergil's been in some tough fights, but this is kind of his coming out party. If he has Erickson Lubin on his resume, that just like legitimizes his entire resume, in my opinion, because Erickson Lubin is not someone that you can say is like just a cakewalk. He's not. This is going to be a very tough fight. It's going to be a close fight. And the way that Vergil is going to have to win is that speed and that work rate. And that's how Vergil likes to fight. But I do think that there's a very good possibility because Erickson Lubin is chinny that Vergil Ortiz does knock him out. I think this is going to be like a very, very big and statement type of victory for Vergil Ortiz if he can get it done. And I think he can get it done in terms of the skill level. Like Lubin is very, very skilled, but Vergil Ortiz just has like that extra type of pop in his power where it's like something that a superstar holds, if that makes any sense. And that goes into the conversation when we're going to talk about 154, but they're building up because listen, Canelo's on his way out. And we talk about the next Mexican boxing superstar, and they're really labeling Vergil Ortiz to be that guy. And I think Vergil Ortiz has a very big chance. And listen, there's Bam Rodriguez waiting over there too. But like in the smaller weight classes, they don't get as respected because as much as I love the smaller weight classes, Chocolatito, El Gallo, listen, the smaller weight classes don't get respected. And this 154-pound division is a very, very exciting division. And when you talk about being the face, Vergil Ortiz is also Mexican-American. He can be a face of boxing. Right. He's very, very exciting. This is like a coming out party for Vergil Ortiz. And I think he gets it done against Erickson Lubin. And I think we are going to see the skill difference. And Vergil Ortiz, he has the power. He has the speed. He's going to come forward. For a guy like Erickson Lubin, who is skilled, also has the power. He might make things tricky. And we might see even Vergil Ortiz take some very, very big shots. We will, because defensively, he's not the best. But I think Ortiz gets it done, man. I think he knocks out Lubin. I really do. I think this is going to be a great fight. I'm excited for it.
I mean, Lubin's been stopped twice already. Those are his two losses, both by stoppage. One in the first round, one in the ninth. And with this, if you look at these odds, knockdowns, this is interesting. Vergil Ortiz plus 1,100 to get knocked down and win. That's sort of like if I wanted to play Vergil Ortiz to win, unless you just think he's going to knock him out, which let's look at that again. That's minus 150. So that's actually shorter than I thought. I actually might just go with the knockout because minus 150. I'll get my best together in a little bit later. But yeah, to get knocked down and win, Vergil Ortiz plus 1,100, Lubin plus 4,000. Both fighters will be knocked down plus 1,100. These are all interesting because both of these guys have been dropped. Both of these guys are chinny. Both of them make mistakes, but both of them are super talented. Total knockdowns in this fight. One or more, minus 240. Two or more, plus 110. That's also interesting to me. Lubin against Fundora. There were two knockdowns in that fight. Vergil Ortiz was dropped twice against Sergey Bohachuk. And obviously he has a ton of power as well. Vergil Ortiz, you could just bet on his knockdowns, one or more, and then Lubin to just drop Vergil Ortiz once is plus 500, one or more times. So the knockdown The knockdown odds are really, really interesting to me, I would say. And then overall, if y'all want to look at the card itself, which is going to be on the zone later, we'll get to the zone in a little bit. It's going to be in Texas also, so home field advantage for Vergil Ortiz, basically, because he's going to have a large fan base there. This is the full card, promoted by Golden Boy. So Joshua Edwards, who is a heavyweight that I liked in the amateurs, is going to be on the undercard as well. Samuel Torres, Amari Jones, not Omari Jones, not to be confused with Omari Jones, but Amari Jones is on this card too, and he's been making some waves moving up at middleweight. So there's some interesting fights on here as well. I think overall, it's a nice card.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch it. There's a lot going on tonight, and this is going to be something that I'm going to be watching pretty closely, especially when it comes to the main event. It's going to probably be my full focus. So we both got Vergil Ortiz by knockout.
Probably, but I would say I might be hedging because there's like 1100s that I'm interested in. There's 580s, so I'm like I might see. In terms of what I end up betting on, just follow on the Action Network app. I log my bets on there. Foxy, friend of the show, says, didn't Lubin drop Fundora? He did. Still think Ortiz gets the job done, but it'll be a tricky matchup at times in the fight. Yeah, we agree. We're all in agreement on that for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough fight for Vergil, but I think he gets it done. And I think after we're talking about him being like the next Mexican boxing superstar. Also, there's David Benavidez too. So a couple of guys that could probably take that crown. But nonetheless, it also gives the conversation of 154. We can't count out Erickson Lubin yet. But Brian, I think we should bring up 154 because you're a guy, you're a fellow Puerto Rican. Xander Zayas is also fighting. And obviously there's talks about Zayas and Vergil Ortiz fighting, but he's got a fight coming up in January.
Top Rank is so smart, even though they don't have a TV deal.
Yeah, let's hope this one isn't on Facebook Live, you guys. Instagram Live. Who knows where this fight will be? Disgusting, if you ask me. This is terrible.
There's a card coming up. I'm gonna pull this up. There's a card coming up where it's in Mexico. I don't know where in Mexico. I gotta find it, but it's in Mexico, and basically, Richard Torres Jr. is taking part in this. Bob Aaron's promoting it. Oh, it's gonna be on ESPN Knockout, so probably ESPN Deportes. Just real quick before we get to Xander, Richard Torres, Rafael Espinoza is fighting Arnold Kagai, defending his title. Your boy, so I know you'll be locked in for this. Lindolfo Delgado versus Gabriel Golas Valenzuela. That is an interesting fight. Emiliano Vargas, who will be some people's prospect of the year, he is on this card. Richard Torres Jr. versus Thomas Salek. So there's some shit on this card, as I like to say. But we'll get back to Xander Zayas. So this is why Top Rank is smart to me. Xander Zayas is the WBO champion, and he got there by rising up the WBO rankings, and his Top Rank, whatever. He beat his mandatory, which is Sergio Garcia Perez, as we mentioned many times. It was going to be Charles Conwell if he won that fight. Charles Conwell did not hold up his end, so he gets a title. And we're talking all this about who's he going to fight, what's the fight, what are the fights to make, whatever. And then rumors start creeping up. Oh, he could fight Abbas Baru. So now they're really trying to position him as the A side of somebody who calls the shots, and he has Top Rank behind him. And this is what it sort of looks like. By the way, the fight with Abbas Baru, who's WBA champion, supposedly going to be January 31st in Puerto Rico, which might coincide with January 31st if Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson actually get that day. So that'll be interesting. But if you look at the WBA rankings at junior middleweight, Abbas Baru won a title against Yoenis Tellez in the summer. And they're basically having Xander Zayas positioned as like, oh, you're the only unified champion in this weight class if you can get it done. So even though a lot of people say like, oh, he wouldn't beat Boots, he wouldn't beat Vergil, he wouldn't beat Fundora, he wouldn't beat Murtazayev, they're gearing him up to be the A side for any of those discussions by virtue of having multiple titles and by virtue of building up fan base, core audience. This fight's going to be in Puerto Rico, according to the reports, at the Coliseo in San Juan. So he can get both titles here. Now, Abbas is good. This is not an easy fight. Like we were just talking about Erickson Lubin being dangerous for Vergil Ortiz. Same goes here. Like Abbas earned that title. He should be undefeated. He had a fight with Jack Colque where he got robbed on the cards. He should have absolutely won that fight. He's from Europe, so a lot of people aren't too familiar with him, but he's good. He's legit. So this will be Xander Zayas' toughest test, and it should be because he's a champion. But I think this is a great job of promoting and being like, yo, we're gonna get our young guy both titles, and y'all are gonna have to fight each other for the right to fight him down the line. So I think there's interesting promotional chess going on here with Top Rank and the others.
Yeah, I just wonder where the fight's gonna be. Like we can talk about like how great this fight is, but where the hell is the fight gonna be? Where are we gonna watch it? Where are we gonna watch it?
Like where is it gonna air? Yeah.
Yeah. So is Top Rank smart? No, they're not. They're dumb because they don't have a deal. So we could talk about these fights, but am I gonna be trying to find it on Facebook Live? Like, what are we doing here? I could care less until I get a TV deal, to be honest, but I understand what they're trying to do here.
Bad Bunny is promoting him now, so that's another piece of this.
It's very interesting to have Vergil Ortiz fight in November and then Xander Zayas fight in January. That is setting up a fight between either Vergil or Drawn Boots Ennis against Zayas. That's what I think. But here's the thing. I don't know what Boots is going to do because Boots will say one thing and then do another. I think it's more likely that Vergil Ortiz fights Zayas than Drawn Boots Ennis. I think that's a very good fight. And then you have the rivalry as well, Puerto Rico, Mexico, even though Vergil Ortiz is Mexican-American, it's still that rivalry. I think you could also do that fight anywhere. I think you could do it in Vegas. I think you could do it in New York. You know, I think you could do it in Texas because Vergil Ortiz is from Texas. And listen, he's got a lot of fandom there. It could be a great big fight that could be made and a huge fight at 154. I don't think Drawn Boots Ennis is going to fight Vergil Ortiz. I don't think that fight's happening. Why hasn't it happened? Like the thing about Drawn Boots and his team, he's very protected. And a lot of the fights that you think Boots is going to be in, he's never in. So
wow, you've turned on Boots completely.
Because I just want him to fight the best. I think a lot of people have to be
fair. I think a lot of people have to.
He's never fighting the names that we want him to fight, even when he has an opportunity. So it's just like, I don't know what's going on there. Is it like a business thing? Possibly. But if you know, Vergil seeing like, yo, like I want to fight these guys, and that's kind of the narrative around him that he wants to fight these big guys, and it's not happening, then who is it? Like someone's lying, right? Everyone's lying in boxing, by the way, guys.
Correct, which we'll get to in a sec. Back on Murtazayev, who has the IBF, supposedly going to fight Josh Kelly in January was the reported date a couple weeks ago, January 31st, so same day. So everyone at 154 is just circling each other. The other under discussed thing about Vergil Ortiz though is, and Sebastian Fundora was supposed to fight Keith Thurman, and now we need an update on that. Let me actually look real quick. But Sebastian Fundora also has the full WBC title. So assuming Vergil Ortiz gets it done tonight, or if Erickson Lubin ends up winning, like Sebastian Fundora and whoever's the WBC interim champion, they have to fight at some point. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's an update on Fundora versus Thurman, but yeah, he had an injury. We have to see what happens there. Like Fundora and Vergil have to fight if Vergil maintains that interim spot. And I had thrown out there Boots getting the interim title, even though somehow I don't even know how he got the interim title. Like in terms of like how this became an interim title fight, because we talked about the whole ranking situation, which was weird. But he's the WBA interim champion. And if Zayas ends up beating Abbas Bauru, he has to fight Xander Zayas. So like there's a lot that can go on here. But it's kind of jumped all over the place. Like Josh Kelly was Xander Zayas' mandatory, but he was gonna fight he was going to go fight Boots Ennis, but then he got lowballed by Eddie Hearn, supposedly. So then they moved on, and Jerome Boots Ennis moved up and ended up going high in the WBA rankings, despite, also having the IBF title. And then Vergil Ortiz. Like, this is why people end up tuning out of the fucking sport. Because shit is just confusing like this. And 154, our favorite weight class. I say that with a hint of sarcasm because we talk about it all the time because there's always chaotic shit going on in this weight class. So we'll see what happens, but
yeah,
I think we're going to get some good fights coming up in this weight class, and that's going to be the main thing that we should take away from this.
Yeah, especially in 2026. Anything else, Ryan, before we move away from 154 pounds?
Foxy, always with the assist, probably leads the mandatory support group. Support group. That sounded that sounded too heavy-handed, but he probably leads all of y'all in assists. Backroom Murtazayev will fight Josh Kelly Newcastle Matchroom show in January. Yeah, I think that's the 31st. Great fan base up north in the UK, but don't see him winning. Josh Kelly, he means. Yeah, I think Murtazayev. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. I don't think Josh Kelly wins that fight either, but I think that's unequivocally like that's an interesting fight for me because I want to see how Josh Kelly looks in that, and I want to see how Backroom looks after a little bit of a layoff. You're on
Sorry,
mute.
I don't have any more thoughts on that on the 154. I think we've kind of overexhausted it a little bit. We just got to see what happens between Vergil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin, and then those conversations can happen. But I think 2026 will definitely get some good fights.
Yeah, Xander Presser coming this week. Okay, so the zone.
Yeah, so DAZN is changing up their membership plans, guys, and they sent out an email to essentially everybody that is a subscriber, and the title was DAZN revolutionizes pay-per-view model with ultimate, and ultimate is in parentheses, pricing plan that includes pay-per-view events. So DAZN Unlimited is a comprehensive boxing subscription, including a minimum of 12 pay-per-view fights per year, saving fans more than $535 per year. It's more choice for fans in how they buy and watch world-class events. And they're offering like a top tier pay-per-view fights that are available on a standalone basis. So the plan launched on November 7th, and you can play annually or monthly, or you could just pay everything up front. So the first 3 pay-per-view fights included are coming up. So that's Chris Eubank and Conor Benn 2. And then they're going to have the Ring Night of Champions with David Benavidez and Anthony Yard on December 27th. And then the final one that they're offering is Naiwa Inoue and David Picasso. So those ones will all be included in this subscription. So they're trying to get rid of pay-per-views like they said they're going to do, but they're just pretty much adding more to the monthly plan.
They're just calling it something else. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like it's pay-per-view is dead, but here's a premium subscription model. It's the same shit. Like, what the fuck are we doing, bro? Like, look, the zone's lying to y'all again. They've been doing this shit for a long ass time. As a matter of fact, let's kick it to Lou DiBella, who was our first ever guest and who I promise we'll have back. Just hopped on Ariel Helwani's show, and a lot of people think that he destroyed him on the show. He had some things to say about this whole ordeal with Zone and why he's no longer subscribed. Also, Shantelle, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this when I play it, because there's been issues in the past.
Can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
Okay, that's very interesting. So he's basically like, what is Zone doing? How many announcements are you going to make that are not true? He talked about why he's not a subscriber anymore, basically, and how he just gets the fights because dude that he works with, who set up the interview with us, I forget his name, has all the subscriptions. So like you just can't trust this brand. You just can't at this point. You mentioned the tiers. Some more info on that here, but ultimately, yeah, you're just gonna have to pay for shit. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
This is coming from the group where Turkey is like pay-per-view is dead, and now all of a sudden, you know, this is going on. It just feels like fans are being lied to constantly, and you're continuing to get fights that aren't actually pay-per-view fights, like for pay-per-view, which is incredibly annoying as well. And I think that and this is why you can't have all of boxing on the zone. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. like if Top Rank signs with the zone, this shit is over. Like I do not want to see that. They're a brand that you just cannot trust. You can't trust a streaming service. A lot of people don't even like their broadcast. You know what I mean? Like which we've talked about also, and like Turkey can't even explain the pricing structure. You know what I mean? Because this is not what they planned. They're not abandoning pay-per-view like they said they were going to abandon pay-per-view, because this is still pay-per-view. It's just called something else.
You know what? I have DAZN because I have NFL Sunday Ticket, and that's the only reason mainly why I have it. But it does help to obviously get the boxing fights as well. But when they're upping the price every year, and that's what they've done, it used to be like you'd pay like $10 a month. It was super cheap. And then it went up, and now it's legit like $24.99 a month, which is on the more expensive end, right? So this is going to continue to go up, as you don't even know where Top Rank's going to go. So hopefully they don't go to DAZN, because that could probably up the price even more. But listen, they're getting away from pay-per-view fights, but they're upping a subscription. It's more than $5. So it's expensive, very expensive. And so it just depends on how much you want to buy that. But at the same time, I wonder if this is the DAZN Ultimate tier plan. So I'm guessing everything else that was included in it is as well, right? Because on specific plans, like they have, you may be able to get like all of soccer, like Bundesliga, Premier Champions. Now they even have like NCAA sports on there. So if it's a whole package that you're getting and it's everything that you want, it makes sense. But if you're maybe just going just for boxing and you don't care about the other stuff, it's a little bit more expensive, but it just depends on how much you want to spend. That's the way I kind of look at it. Like for me, now that they do have NCAA sports on there, they have NFL on there, I'm like, they have boxing on there. Like I'm okay with spending that type of bread for it, especially if I don't have to go through a whole bunch of weird sites to get a fight. I don't want to do that. Like there's specific fights where I'm just like, I'm not going through that. I'm just gonna buy it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just think that if you're going to have all these pay-per-views, like just call it what it is. And on top of that, make the fights worth it. Like, how many of these fights are actually worth paying for? If we just go back to the fights themselves, top bouts coming to DAZN through the remainder of the year, all included in the Ultimate Plan. Vergil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubin tonight. Next week, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn 2. By the way, the rest of the card is not good. Yeah. The rest of the card, I don't know if y'all have seen the rest of the card for Conor Benn and Chris Eubank 2. But this is a one-fight card. Adam Azim versus Kurt Scobie is remotely interesting. Shantelle, I know, is very head over heels excited for Jack Catterall versus Eku Essuman.
I don't even care.
Eku Essuman.
I do like Jack Catterall though. Now, like he kind of earned my respect in terms of like how tough he fought, and
because he knows he's boring.
Well, I think he put on a pretty good performance, and even like the Regis Prograis fight and stuff like that. Like he definitely won me over. So I'm not saying anything bad about Jack Catterall anymore. I just don't really care. Yeah. There's a lot of fights on here I don't care about. So
Benavidez Yard. That's the main event. It's not Brian Norman versus Devin Haney.
I can see why they don't want to make Haney the main event, and also it would make sense to have Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn be the main event because the first fight was dope. Like one of the fights of the year.
So Benavidez, separately, Benavidez versus Yard, that's a stacked card. And that's the main event, which, look, I think that's a dangerous fight for David Benavidez. Yeah. Ben Whitaker, I don't care about Ben Whitaker like that. I gotta be honest. I don't know if that's like just, I'm not sure. I'm not the anti-English dude. I'm not the anti-Brit up here. Yeah. But Benjamin Whitaker he does nothing for me. Diego Pacheco. I'm just gonna skip over Shabazz Massoud and Peter McGrail. Diego Pacheco's next fight. I mean, okay.
That shouldn't even be a pay-per-view fight. That's just a fight added into the DAZN like thing. Cool. But yeah. I mean, like none of these are like, oh my God, I have to see this. Like none of these are.
Now Inoue is like must see by himself, but he's gonna beat the shit out of David Picasso and Nakatani's on this card too.
Let me rephrase that. None of these I think are pay-per-view worthy.
None of
Uh,
them. I agree. Not one. And Amanda
Like they're
Serrano
good
versus
fights. They're
Erica
good
Cruz.
fights, but they're not pay-per-view worthy. Like Tank
Yeah,
and Bud. I mean, sorry, Bud and Canelo was pay-per-view worthy. That's pay-per-view worthy. None of these fights are. That's
yeah.
my opinion. I'm
Although
going to watch all these fights, and I think they're interesting, but I don't think they're pay-per-view worthy. That's a different conversation.
the best fight here is Eubank versus Bentu. I
I
think.
think Benavidez Yard is pretty good. Like I'm not gonna lie.
I think
I
so
think
too.
I think that's I think that's a
But
very very good fight.
we saw the first one, so I'm like that
Yeah,
probably is going to be. And then you have Amanda Serrano versus Erica Cruz, and look, we love Amanda Serrano up here, but like, why is she fighting Erica Cruz again? Why?
yeah,
Like, this is just what's the point of this? We saw this already. Erica Cruz is competitive, but like clearly a step down. Doesn't make sense. They're going to do it in Puerto Rico. Last time Amanda Serrano was going to fight in Puerto Rico, that got canceled at the last minute. So maybe this is a makeup, but January 3rd, I don't know how much Amanda Serrano has left. Anytime she's going to fight, I'll be there, obviously. But I don't know why Erica Cruz is getting a shot here again. Holly Holm also is on that card, by the way, fighting Stephanie Hahn for, I think, WBA title at lightweight. Yankia Rivera's fighting, which is actually a fun fight against Jonathan Gonzalez, but I don't whatever, man. Look, there's like boxing's not in a great place right now. Domestically, especially like here in North America, not in a great place right now. And I don't know if it's gonna get better.
By the way, guys, if you're watching this later, please drop your comments in the chat and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Brian, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah. Lubin versus Vergil. I will be placing a couple bets on that. We'll see what happens though.
Vergil by knockout. That's what I'm rolling with. Let's go.